"You're not invited, Giselle. It's just family this time," my mom said over the phone, her voice clipped, like she'd rehearsed it. I froze, gripping the steering wheel, the hum of my car's engine the only sound filling the silence. My wife, Giselle, was sitting right next to me, her eyes fixed on the dashboard, pretending she didn't hear. But I knew she did, and that moment, those words, lit a fuse inside me that's still burning as I tell you this. I'm Carson, 32, a software developer who's always tried to keep the peace in my family. I'm the guy who avoids rocking the boat, who nods and smiles even when I don't agree. Giselle, my wife of 3 years, is 29, a marketing coordinator with a laugh that can light up a room and a stubborn streak that matches mine when pushed. She's the kind of person who'll spend hours helping a colleague brainstorm a campaign but won't hesitate to call out nonsense when she sees it. That's one of the reasons I fell for her. But my family, they've never quite warmed to her, and this vacation snub was the final straw. Let me back up. Every year my family, my parents, my younger brother Davis, my older sister Joanna, and a rotating cast of cousins and aunts, takes a week-long trip to a cabin in the mountains. It's been a tradition since I was a kid, filled with fishing, bonfires, and my dad's terrible ghost stories. After I married Giselle, she joined us for the first 2 trips. It wasn't perfect. My mom would make little comments about Giselle's ideas for group activities or how she didn't get our family's humor, but Giselle handled it with grace, even when I could tell it stung. This year, though, things were different. A month ago, I got a group text from Joanna, 35, who's always been the unofficial planner of these trips. She's a lawyer, sharp and organized, but she's got a habit of acting like she's the family's moral compass. The text outlined the dates, the cabin rental, and who was bringing what. No mention of Giselle. I thought it was an oversight, so I texted back, "Hey, Giselle's excited to come. Should we bring the board games again?" Joanna's reply was quick. "Actually, Carson, we thought it'd be nice to keep it to immediate family this year. No spouses." No spouses? Davis's wife, Kira, wasn't mentioned either, but that felt like a weak excuse. Davis, 28, is a laid-back mechanic who usually goes along with whatever Joanna or my parents say. Kira, 30, is a nurse, blunt and no-nonsense, and she's never been shy about clashing with my family's passive-aggressive ways. But Giselle? She's bent over backward to fit in. The exclusion felt personal, and I wasn't going to let it slide. When I called my mom to ask what was going on, that's when she dropped the bombshell about Giselle not being invited. Giselle's face in the car, her jaw tight, her eyes glassy, broke something in me. I told my mom, "She's my wife. She's family. What's the real issue here?" Mom dodged, saying it was about keeping things simple. But I could hear the lie in her voice. I hung up, fuming, and turned to Giselle. "I'm not going without you," I said. She just nodded, but I could tell she was hurt, and that hurt me more than anything. The next few days were tense. I couldn't shake the anger, but I also couldn't figure out why my family was doing this. Was it something Giselle did? Something I missed? I started digging, and that's when another problem reared its head. One that made this mess even uglier. See, my cousin Bruno, 34, a loudmouth real estate agent who's always stirring the pot, had been texting me separately. He's the kind of guy who thinks he's charming but comes off as pushy. He sent me a cryptic message. "Yo, Carson, you gotta talk to Joanna. She's got some beef with Giselle." When I pressed him, he spilled that Joanna had been telling the family Giselle was too opinionated and didn't respect our traditions. Apparently, it started last year at the cabin when Giselle suggested we try a new group activity, a scavenger hunt, instead of the usual card games. Joanna took it as a personal attack, like Giselle was trying to change everything. I was floored. A scavenger hunt? That's what this was about? But it wasn't just Joanna. My parents, especially my mom, had their own gripes. Mom's always been traditional, the kind who thinks wives should defer to their husbands' families. Giselle's independence, her career, her knack for pitching bold ideas, rubbed Mom the wrong way. Dad, who's quieter but just as stubborn, backed Mom up without question. And Davis? He didn't care much either way, but Kira's absence from the trip made him less likely to push back. I was on my own, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't just about a vacation. It was about whether my family respected my marriage. A few days after that phone call with my mom, I found myself replaying old memories, trying to pinpoint when my family started pulling away from Giselle. I remembered our first mountain trip together 3 years ago, right after we got married. Giselle had been so excited, packing a cooler full of snacks she'd spent hours preparing. Homemade trail mix, sandwiches, even these little brownies she swore would win everyone over. She'd stayed up late, humming to herself, determined to make a good impression. But when we got there, my mom barely touched the food, muttering something about how store-bought was just fine. I brushed it off then, thinking Mom was just being picky, but now I wondered if that was the start of it. Giselle trying too hard, and my family refusing to meet her halfway. It made my stomach twist, realizing I'd missed those early signs. The tension wasn't just in my head, either. A couple of nights after the call, I ran into my cousin Ethan at a local diner. Ethan's 26, a part-time barista with a knack for staying out of family drama, but he's always been straight with me. I was grabbing a coffee to clear my head when he slid into the booth across from me, his usual grin replaced with a serious look. "Carson, what's going on with you and the family?" he asked, stirring his iced latte. I hesitated, then spilled everything. Mom's call, Joanna's texts, the whole vacation mess. Ethan whistled low. "Man, that's rough. Look, I wasn't going to say anything, but I overheard Joanna at a family barbecue last month. She was telling Aunt Linda that Giselle's too much and doesn't know her place. I thought it was just Joanna being Joanna, but now," he trailed off, and I felt a fresh wave of anger. Giselle too much? She was the one holding our family together while they tore her down. Ethan leaned forward. "For what it's worth, I think Giselle's awesome. You gotta fight this, Carson. Don't let them win." His words stuck with me, a reminder that not everyone in the family was against us. That conversation with Ethan gave me a spark of hope, but it also made me realize how deep this rift was. I started noticing little things at home. Giselle was quieter, her usual spark dimmed. One night, I found her sitting on our couch, scrolling through old photos of us on her phone. "I just wanted to feel like I belonged," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I sat next to her, pulling her close, and promised we'd fix this together. But inside I was terrified. What if my family never came around? What if I had to choose between them and Giselle? I'd choose her, no question, but the thought of losing my parents, my sister, even Davis, it felt like a punch to the gut. I didn't sleep much that night, staring at the ceiling, wondering how we'd gotten here. Before the family dinner, I decided to try one more thing. I called Kira, Davis's wife, hoping she'd be an ally. Kira and Giselle had always gotten along, bonding over their shared frustration with my family's quirks. I figured if anyone understood being sidelined, it'd be her. When she picked up, I got straight to the point. "Kira, you know they're excluding Giselle from the trip. You're not invited either. Don't you think this is messed up?" Kira sighed, and I could picture her rubbing her temples, like she does when she's stressed. "Carson, I'm pissed, trust me. But Davis doesn't want to rock the boat, and I'm tired of fighting with your mom. I was going to sit this one out." I pushed back, telling her how much it hurt Giselle, how it was hurting me. "If we don't stand up, they'll keep doing this," I said. Kira was quiet for a long moment, then said, "Let me talk to Davis. No promises, but I'll try." It wasn't a guarantee, but it felt like a small victory, like maybe I wasn't completely alone in this. I decided to confront them, but I wanted to be smart about it. I didn't want to just yell and burn bridges. Giselle deserved better than that, and honestly, so did I. So, I planned a family dinner at my parents' house, saying I wanted to talk about the trip. I didn't tell them Giselle was coming with me. When we walked in, the air got thick. Mom's smile was tight, Dad looked at his plate, and Joanna crossed her arms like she was ready for a fight. Davis and Kira were there too, but they stayed quiet, sensing the storm. I started calm. "I need to understand why Giselle's not welcome on this trip," I said, looking at each of them. "She's my wife. She's been nothing but kind to all of you. So what's the problem? Silence. Then Joanna spoke up, her voice sharp. Carson, it's not about Giselle personally. We just want a break from complications. She doesn't always fit in. Fit in? I snapped. She's not some guest. She's family. And if you can't see that, maybe you're the ones who don't fit in my life. The room went dead quiet. Giselle squeezed my hand under the table, and I could feel her shaking, not from fear but from holding back her own words. That's when Mom jumped in, her voice softer but no less cutting. Carson, you're overreacting. We love Giselle, but sometimes it's easier to keep things the way they've always been. Couldn't believe it. They were doubling down, acting like excluding my wife was no big deal. Even worse, I caught Davis smirking, like he thought this was just drama he could stay out of. Then Giselle spoke, her voice steady. I've tried to be part of this family, she said. I've planned activities with you, listened to you, laughed with you. If that's not enough, then maybe you need to figure out what family really means. She didn't raise her voice, but every word landed like a punch. I was so proud of her, but I was also furious that she even had to say it. The dinner ended awkwardly. Nobody apologized, and I left feeling like I'd hit a wall. But I wasn't done. I started thinking about what family really meant to me and how I could fix this without losing everyone. That's when another issue popped up, one I hadn't seen coming. A week later, Bruno called me, sounding nervous. Carson, man, I didn't want to get involved, but Joanna's been telling people you're choosing Giselle over the family. She's saying you're disloyal. Disloyal? For standing up for my wife? I was livid, but Bruno's call gave me an idea. Joanna was the ringleader here, and if I could get through to her, maybe I could turn this around. I invited Joanna for coffee, just the two of us. She showed up defensive, her arms crossed again. I didn't waste time. Joanna, why are you doing this? What's your real issue with Giselle? She hesitated, then admitted she felt like Giselle was taking over the family dynamic. She's always got an idea, Carson. It's like she's trying to replace me. I almost laughed. Replace her. Giselle wasn't competing with anyone, but I saw an opening. Joanna, I said, you're my sister. Nobody's replacing you. But Giselle's my wife, and if you push her out, you're pushing me out too. Is that what you want? For the first time, she looked unsure. I pressed on, telling her how much the family trips meant to me, how I wanted my kids, when we have them, to know their aunt and grandparents. I appealed to her sense of family, not just mine but hers too. Slowly, she softened. I didn't think about it like that, she mumbled. It wasn't a full win, but it was a start. Joanna agreed to talk to Mom and Dad, and I could tell she was rethinking her stance. Over the next few weeks, I kept the pressure on, but in a way that didn't feel like a war. I called my parents, shared memories of past trips, and made it clear that Giselle and I were a package deal. I even got Davis on board by pointing out that Kira deserved better too. Little by little, they started to budge. By the time the trip rolled around, things had shifted. Joanna called to say Giselle was welcome, though it came with a half-hearted, we didn't mean to upset anyone. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Giselle and I went to the cabin, and while there were still some tense moments, Mom's comments didn't vanish overnight. It was better. Giselle laughed with Kira by the fire, and even Joanna joined in, telling stories like old times. I could see a future where my family actually felt like one. Looking back, I'm glad I didn't just walk away, even though I wanted to. Standing up for Giselle wasn't just about the trip. It was about showing her, and myself, that our marriage comes first. I learned that forgiveness doesn't mean ignoring hurt. It means holding people accountable while giving them a chance to grow. My family's not perfect, but they're learning, and so am I. Now, I'm curious. What do you think? Was there a better way to handle this? Should I have pushed harder or let it go? I'd love to hear your take, because I'm still figuring out how to navigate this family stuff without losing who I am.
Thank you for watching. Give it a like, subscribe, and let's roll into more must-hear drama together.